because of the smog over the lake from the forest fire. So that was sometimes interfering with the formation of the duct.
So it was tough. It was pretty tough conditions. Next chart. So you start thinking about what's possible, and it went out to the records, and I'm kind of surprised. There's some records that weren't there, but just taking a look at the Pacific duct, which has got some good long records on it. Quite a distance, and they're using a duct, the tropo duct there. It starts forming down around Baja in the early summer, and it goes up the coast later in the summer, and then it kind of comes back later. And these are records that have been standing. Like I said, I'm aware of other records that weren't on this list. But the 10 gigahertz record, so you're talking about 1,282 kilometers. Now that's not to Hawaii. In fact, I didn't even look up where those two grids are, but that's a long ways, right? Next. So here we are. This is our second setup, and this is kind of what we do. There were about 7 vehicles, I think, and we set up, and by this time, one of the guys had figured out his system wasn't working. And so, you remember his and her systems? Well, he jumped in with them, and he got to use her system. And then Bruce and Janice operated family rules on the same station, which is what Elizabeth and I did, was use the family rules, which means 2 different calls in one station, because we're in the same family. We set up, and we point at them, and you're there, and you got your headphones on, and you're going back and forth, and you peek up on it, and then you stop. And one of the things that I learned, because I didn't do it at the very first contact, is you want to make sure that it has some drag, because if it doesn't, if you pull on the microphone, for example, it moves and now you're off of them. That kind of makes you mad. But it only took once for me to learn that lesson. Next chart. So this is kind of the same location, and just kind of getting an idea of how many of us are out there. Go on. You'll note here the 2-meter beam. That was to be able to wake up the guys, we hoped, in Michigan. It's turned out that cell phones work just as well. Well, you know, but case in point, when you get to Grand Portage, it doesn't work so well anymore, unless you want to pay Canadian. And we did have, on Saturday night, when we got up there, our cell phone set time because they were receiving the cell phone from across the lake. So they set their time, US. So that was kind of bizarre. Next chart. One of the things you'll note, there's quite a few of us did the same thing, but we're running big batteries. I didn't bring my battery. You'll see a picture of it later, and you'll understand why. But Jerry basically had his power. He could only be a cable length away from his truck, and that worked. That worked pretty well. Wyatt, one of the things, he has it. There's this box right here. He's got a really small little battery he puts in it, and he says, "Oh, you got batteries, Bill." It's like, man, I would have liked to have had that one. But a little battery, it's super compact. Next chart. And so here we are. We're operating. You'll see we've got a CW key, and I think I did make a couple of CW contacts there. And she's figuring out, and away you go. Next chart. There you can see my battery. This is up at Grand Portage on Sunday morning. We're lined up, and you can kind of see it's hazy and smoggy there. And we had to get out there before breakfast, so she's eating her breakfast right there behind me, because we've got to be on time for these things. After all, we're all intense. We're really intense, even though we've got her fooled. We've got her fooled.
The reality is the people up in Michigan and in Canada were camping, so they were at their sites. All I had to do is get up and make their coffee, and they were ready to go. So we needed to be ready to go. And Saturday night, we had horrific thunderstorms through the area. It was really nice to pull into the only hotel on the U.S. side of the border, which is on Indian ground and is a casino. Doesn't matter. They had good food, and we were out of the rain.
Yep. So there we are. I don't understand this picture. I don't understand how I can be all screwed up with my belt and everything, and be so relaxed and coy about it. We're up at this point. I forget which one this is. No, it's not there. Anyway, on Sunday, the conditions cleared up so well that it didn't matter which way you pointed the dish, you were going to work Michigan. It was just absolutely crazy. And I said, what? It doesn't matter. And Heidi Cox says, yeah, that happens sometimes. Well, later, one of the guys took his dish off and just made contacts to Michigan with his feed horn. It's like, it was cool. It was really loud. And I kind of think that's where we were when we did that. Next. So, this coaching thing, you got to do that. And what you can't quite tell is I'm kind of pointing and logging. I'm pointing at the words. So, point at their call. I point at our grid, and I just pointed everything in the order she's supposed to say it. And it just takes a little while to get up to speed. And Bruce is nicely holding her CW key. So, next chart. Here we are. This is the overlook on Sunday morning. Look how bad that is. I mean, smoggy. We're up at Pine Needle, and we're looking down at Grand Marnier. And go ahead.
One of the things with the batteries, that the small battery would come in handy. This particular route has nice pull-outs, but they're not always down at lake level. And if you had a small battery, you could walk down to the beach, and that would have helped get into the duct. And under these weather conditions, the duct probably wasn't there. And so we stayed up on the pull-off where we had good pavement and stuff.
Did anybody go down to the beach?
A couple times, a couple people did,
Yeah.
but most of us had the big batteries, so we
But-
were able to do that.
By the way, these aren't nice beaches.
No.
They're rocky beaches. There's one that has black sand that's actually kind of sandy. But you take a look. I'm in a flannel shirt. I guess those are Minnesotans down there in t-shirts. But
This is August, and
it's cold. It's cold up
June
there.
weather for us.
So Bill, is that, you're saying that's the Pine Needle above Grand Marais, and Grand Marais you're looking down, you're way up.
Yeah, we're way up, and our objective here is the team split in two, and we're working each other to get unique calls. So this is our chance.
People in Grand Marais.
We're working the people in Grand Marais. So, yeah, and from Grand Marais, I was trying to work Canada, and I heard them, but they didn't hear me. So there.
Bill, typically, how much enhancement do you get when you're in the duct and when you're like above the duct? Is there like a rule of thumb or so?
I don't know. I'm brand new to this, but when you're in the duct, it works, and when you're not in the duct, it doesn't work.
So the chances of you being in the duct are greater if you're closer to the water.
That's what they said, and it kind of surprised me. Pete Walter was K9PW was all excited on Saturday night to go back up. There was another overlook that we went to up at Grand Portage, and it was a rest area and a nice view. On a clear day, you could see Isle Royale. That weekend, you couldn't. He wanted to make 24 gig contacts, and he really wanted to be high just to do it, but it didn't happen. The guys in Michigan, he was really mad at them. They didn't even, go ahead.
What kind of distances are we talking about here? I'm not familiar with geography.
I didn't, I can pull up a log and we can look at that later. But we're 400, I think 300 or 400 kilometers.
I think their max would have been about 500.
Yeah,
If-
yeah.
If you, I don't know, built those, but that'd be a tough, it'd be 500 kilometers.
Yeah. So, but the guys, they had equipment to go to 47 gigs, but they didn't even get it out. I mean, it was just that tough. Next chart. Just more of the same, looking down, we're looking down at them. These guys were pretty helpful. Wyatt warned me and I didn't pay attention. Shame on me, but Greg right here, the CW key that I've got was handed off to him, from him. Even the earbuds were handed off from him. So very, very helpful people. Really a good group to go out with. Next chart. So how'd we do? This is probably one of my biggest mistakes in the whole thing. She beat me.
Yeah, and I was keeping the log, so I'm not quite sure how that happened, because I can't do CW. I never got past my novice, and no code tech license, and so if they would, as we went down the line, is we just hop from one station to the next and went through the routine and then passed it on to the next person. If they were getting voice contacts, then I would make my contact and then Phil would. And that way, and several times we had it where we lost the ability to do voice between the two of us. I made the contact and then he had to switch over to CW. And somehow or another he lost one of his CW contacts.
Well,
I think the difference-
one of the things I was looking at the log, and one of the things, what we did was we did both of our logs on one sheet of paper. A horrible